Hi everyone! In this video, I will be walking you through my process in painting this watercolor Macaw in a quick and semi-loose style. As you can see, I kept the feathers soft and loose while I focused most of the details on the eyes and the face. By the way, the following process video I'll be showing you is twice the original speed, so if you're interested, please keep on watching. First, I did a light pencil outline of this Macaw. I will link the original reference photo in the description box. I start with an underpainting using neutral tint. I didn't want to bother myself with the feathers details, so I wanted to simplify the subject by just identifying the light areas and the shadowed areas. I dropped some neutral tint on those areas that are a bit darker and left the light areas white. So these dark areas that I identified are the feathers on top of the head, feathers around the face, and a few areas where feathers are layered on top of each other. I smudged some paint on the beak area, but no worries, that will be covered later on. I also have this habit of smoothing out hard edges, so whenever I lay out some paint on the paper, I immediately clean the edges by using another clean damp brush. Also, note that the face of the Macaw isn't smooth, so I painted on the shadows around the eyes as well as some curves that protrude from the surface. You can see here that I also darkened some random areas to imply some feathers as well as the wing of the bird. Once the first layer is dry, I dropped in vermilion, golden deep, and sap green in random patches, just roughly copying the colors on the Macaw. I used 3 different brushes for the 3 different colors. I wanted them to blend on the paper instead of mixing them in the palette to get the colors as vibrant as possible. Also, to ensure that the colors will look vibrant, do not skimp on the paint too much. If you notice, I left a few white spaces in between the feathers. I thought it was nice instead of covering up everything. The white spaces give it that very loose, effortless look. You could see I made a small mistake. The feathers on top of the head should be closer to the eye, and I wasn't able to correct this during filming. I was only able to add color to it after I painted everything. In the next minute or so, you will see me fixing small details before we proceed to painting the beak. Moving on to the beak, I used a more saturated mix of neutral black. I lifted the paint on some areas, as you can see, to distinguish the lower beak, the mouth opening, and the upper beak. Note that the upper beak is only partly black, so I did a few light strokes on some parts to create the texture as seen in the reference. While I still have some neutral tint on my brush, I worked on the eye for a little bit, just applying some light washes on the dry area. After some drying, I get back to the beak to apply a really light, warm yellow wash. I think this was raw sienna. Then, on to finishing the eye details, I used a darker neutral tint mixture to finalize the pupil and some lines around the eye and some facial feathers that look like tiny hairs. I lift some brush strokes using a tissue if I find them too dark. You can see a close-up image of the face here on the side. After that, we can relax a little in this part. Just pick up some vermilion for the light wash, coupled with some splatter of paint. This is totally optional, but I like the free-spirited vibe the paint splatters give. Now here I'm cramming in mediocre shadows in between feathers because I figured these weren't dark enough. What's good is that you could just follow the lines in your underpainting as a guide. At this point, I stopped adding details, but feel free to add more if you'd like. Now, once that's dried, you have your Macaw. If you plan to do this and post it on Instagram, feel free to tag me on your photo at aryan.art. I would love to see your works and hear how your painting experience was. Now that's all for this video. Thanks for watching and I hope to hear from you soon.